Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy Fears video with Fat Phil, and I have so much to cover in the game right now, so I'm going to do this video first, and then I've got some other ones in the works that I've got to get out as well. So we want to talk today about the speeder bike raid. It's going live, and it is overwhelming, and that is okay. We're going to talk about it, but first and foremost, let's give a massive shout out to my channel members. Thank you all so much for your continued support of this channel. If you're interested in joining channel memberships, there's a lot of perks that come with it. I will walk you through Galactic Legend events in Discord. We can, there's a special section for you to do that. You get roster reviews on stream. You just got to ask sometimes, and I'll be around. The other thing I will say, too, these guys are going to be getting their roster reviews if they are on stream. Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a special stream where I'm going to be supporting the rehab center that my daughter attends. If you're interested in contributing to that, there will be a link for that stream, and there will also just be, some fun things to do there. So, anyway, let's get in here, and we're going to go to the forums and talk about this new speeder bike raid. Now, it's going live. This was yesterday. This posted yesterday, so it's going live today. The nice thing is that if you're running Crate Dragon now, and our payout period is after the update, you still get Mark III currency. You're still going to get the full rewards from your current Crate Dragon raid. Anything that start after tomorrow's update, so anything that you would start today after the update goes live, you're going to have the adjusted rewards, so be paying attention to that. What this means is that if you are a guild where you're like, oh, we're not sure if we should do speeder bike or we should do crate, what I will tell you is going to be the best thing moving forward is that try the speeder bike raid. Because you're going to have to try it. You're going to have to understand where your threshold is for completing it, right? They did a whole post where they talked about the speeder bike raid. This was released a week ago, so they gave us a week in between talking about the new raid and then releasing it. There is so much information in here. I do not need to go over all of this stuff because it's overwhelming. And it should be overwhelming because we've never had a raid like this before. Everybody's abilities are adjusted. Right, you see how all these abilities are adjusted. Look at these are the new abilities for our characters. These are the abilities Arnold did a whole video where he talked about this. Well, I just want to say is that it's overwhelming, and it should be because everything is changing in this raid. Before with this Crate Dragon raid, yes, there was some new mechanics, but you knew that Jabba would be good in the raid. We figured Maul would be good. Old Republic, you could figure which characters would end up being good in the raid. I think the most surprising one was our Jawas at low gear could do a lot of damage. So again, don't be investing in anything until you know the full impact of how that character does in the raid, because I think you're going to need to make sure that you're using a mix of these abilities, that you're going to want to make sure you have people who use this, and there's all this different stuff. So I think be patient. It's okay to be overwhelmed because I'm overwhelmed, and we've never had something like this. So this is a lot of news coming to the game right now. This was a massive, massive change, and in a way, it's good, right? This is a good change. They're trying to get away from the crate raid. The big thing for me that I really saw was that they show you what the breakout of currency is. So if you notice, the Crate Dragon raid, you're going to be getting more of the Mark II and Mark I currency than before, even if you were running that raid at the same, rate, right? They're decreasing how often you need to run raids. That is awesome. It's definitely been a big problem for us. Some of the other things I really saw was that, this raid is going to be very much dependent on RNG, right? This raid is going to be very dependent on RNG. Just deal with it. It is what it is, right? I tell you about how to earn points. There's modifiers. I cannot get into all this stuff because it would take me way too long, and I think that in a way, it's almost better to go in not really knowing a lot. Because if you feel like if you do all this studying for it, preparing for it, and then you get in there and you're like, gosh, I don't know what to do. I think it's better to go in blindly with expectations that you're going to struggle and see how you do. Because I think if you go into it with this expectation that I need to crush it and I need to do this, you might end up being disappointed because we don't know what the right strategy is yet. It's going to take time to develop that. So I wouldn't be investing in characters right now. I would just be planning on, the characters like an Iden Versio, right, who you can use for this raid. She's worth investing in for things outside of the raid. But if your sole purpose for building her is the raid, that's a different situation where maybe I wouldn't do that. So keep some of those things, some of those thoughts in the back of your head there, that we do want to avoid those kinds of things. So that's the speeder bike raid. Getting a lot of that coming to the game right now. What I would be, if you're a guild where you're like, oh, I don't know if we can do the speeder bike raid and get good rewards, don't feel obligated that you have to do that raid. If your guild is still more comfortable doing the Crate Dragon raid, that's okay. Just recognize that you're not going to be able to buy arrow magnifiers because you won't be getting Mark III raid currency. So if you've been using Mark III raid currency to purchase your arrow magnifiers, you're gonna have to prepare for this raid. So you're gonna have to participate in this raid. But if your guild wasn't even getting them now, I mean, how do I say this? Don't feel like your guild has to do this raid right away if you're like, we don't have the teams for it and we need to know what to build first. But if you're a guild where, like, any guild at this point in the game that's above, like, 300 million should be able to score fine in this new raid, because you should have enough of these characters that it doesn't matter. Like, I myself, I don't have, GL Leia yet, and I'm closing in on her. But I don't have her yet. So I'm not worried about, how do I say this? Like, I'm behind where I was because I think I had Jabba at launch of the Crate Dragon raid. I'm a little bit behind here, but I think they rushed this one along a little bit more. But I've got plenty of these other characters to be able to fully utilize. As I said, I called it during this, the one thing they set up here, I'm trying to remember where it is. Where is it at? I know I called it where they said, hold on, I know it's in here, guys, where they mention how many characters you can use. Where is it at? Come on, I know it's in here somewhere. Where is it? Come on. Control F. They mentioned that there's like 24. Where is it at? Of course it's not going to find. But that you can use it's teams of 3 and you get 8 attempts. So, there's 8. Oh my gosh, of course it's not going to find them anywhere else. But that you basically, the way that they described it was that, I know it's in here, but whatever. That you're going to use 8 teams of 3, which basically keeps it at the same number of units comparative to the Crate Dragon raid where it was 5 teams of 5. It's now 8 teams of 3, so you're only having to invest in one less character if you think about, like, purely trying to get the most out of this raid. Overall, guys, it's okay to be overwhelmed, but I think if you're going to have to focus on this raid if you want those arrow magnifiers, if you want to keep your rewards. What I will be curious to see is the level of investment that it's going to take in order to earn similar rewards to the Crate Dragon raid. Do you really need to have those top tier teams like Leia and the perfect troopers and all these things to do really well? Are the Ewoks like Chirpa, Wicket, and Nisa, is that going to be a solid team because you built them for Leia, or is Legray and Paplu better characters there, right? You're going to have to figure that out. So, all that said, guys, that's kind of where I'm thinking with this raid. I wouldn't be promising or doing anything until we learn more from testing by those who have far bigger rosters than us and have the resources to do that. So, wait for those things. The next thing that I want to mention is that we got the new update for IG-12 and Grogu. We got this kit reveal here. This is great, right? This kit looks awesome. Really excited that we're finally getting a playable version of Grogu. And one of the things that they said that's really cool here is they said, if rendered alone to our game scale, would be nearly impossible to target on his own. Putting him inside something larger helps solve the UI dilemma. That is really great, right? I love this. I think that is... They're answering the question right now. We're not getting a baby Grogu by himself, that this is the version that we get, and that's fine, right? I think this is a plausible excuse. And this is something that I want to say that Capital Games didn't always do in the past. That they would have just, like, released this character and been like, yeah, no, why don't we get a normal version of Grogu? And they just would have been silent. They're coming out into it right away, and I think that's awesome. And this is if you know anything about coding, you can completely understand that. What I really like about this kit is that they really seem to name the abilities like no, yes, no, no, no. Like, it's basically like no, no, no. As a parent, I can tell you that you use this a lot. The abilities look really cool. I'm happy. It's a pacifist character. They did say that. I believe it's somewhere in here. As a pacifist unit, he will retreat at the end of battle. I like this. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great, great kit. I'm excited to see how it interacts with Bo-Katan Mandalore, because what my gut assumption is that these two kind of become a duo. Think of your Queel IG-11, right? Now you've got IG-12 Beskar Mando. They're going to kind of have to go in a pair. So those Mandalorian tags, as they show in here, where's it at? Come on, where's your tags at? There it is. The Mandalorian tag there, I love it. A couple people, I was wondering if he would get a droid tag or a Jedi, and other people brought up light side on the line Force user. Seems like they left those tags off. We don't know if that's for balance purposes, or we don't know if there's a larger plan in mind for Grogu. But it definitely seems like they want you to use him with Mandalorians. Remember, tags with Capital Games, you have to understand that a lot of times they tweak tags in order to give players different functionalities. A great example we can think of here is why Rey, who has an ability called All the Jedi, does not have a Jedi tag, because she would be too powerful with, Jedi. She would be just insane with them. Think about why Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker doesn't have a Rebel tag. Things like that, where for the sake of balance, they need to ensure that those, that they keep it consistent. Or the reason why Lord Vader's kit calls out, dark side on the line Force users and Empire, but purposefully leaves out Sith, even though he has that Sith tag, again, for the sake of balance. So, really, really like this tagging. I think for once, it seems like it's less complex. Now, the kit itself does definitely seem like there's a lot to it. Seems like this character, you're going to really have to understand how to use them, which, in my personal opinion, with some of these characters, when they have these things where it's these, if statements of, if there are no, where's it at here? Assisting allies, right? So there's going to be some RNG with this character because they call lots of assists. And so depending who they call to assist can vary greatly depend on how the battle goes. And so one thing I would say that is a negative from me, I'm not a big fan of these RNG types of situations where it's call a random ally to assist, because imagine that you keep calling in, Beskar or Mando instead of Paz Vizsla, and you're like, well, what the heck? I'd rather have Paz Vizsla assisting. So that RNG aspect to me always gives me pause for concern, because you imagine that this character on defense, if they're calling the best possible character to assist every single time, that could get super frustrating. So just something to think about if I'm being nitpicky. Otherwise, I really like the kit. I'm not going to get into every little thing, but what it does seem like is this is another character who needs modded for max health. And that's kind of been the common theme lately. If we go back to it and you think, a lot of the characters that have been released seem to always just want max health nowadays. We're moving further and further away from these characters who really want to be modded for protection and all about health. And part of me wonders if the reason they do that is because of all the events that give us health mods. They're recognizing that it's kind of asinine that, you're going to ask us to mod these characters all these different ways and then only give us a single mod set like health through your rewards like Smuggler's Run and stuff. So I'm actually curious if they're trying to release characters who need modded for max health because they recognize they give us so many of those mods to begin with. Otherwise, that's kind of the two major things. The Territory War Omicron, again, I'm not a big fan of Territory War Omicrons like many, but, it is what it is. Otherwise, it's awesome to see this character coming to the game. It's awesome to see that the Speeder Bike raid is going live. It's okay to be overwhelmed by it. And I think with Grogu's kit here, we're going to have to wait and see how it truly transpires in the game. I don't want to get into, again, Arnold always does the specifics, and he does a great job of that. The big thing I would say here is we're just going to have to wait and see. This is a character that we don't know the full impact of him yet, because most likely he's supposed to be run with Bo-Katan Mandalore. So we can't necessarily say, oh, this character's great or this character's trash until you see how it impacts the team that it's designed for. So take all that into consideration. I love all you. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.